Hey everybody, welcome back to Bruckner Oncology. This is Dan Sfera. I'm here with Dr. Howard Bruckner, joining us all the way from the Bronx, New York. Dr. Bruckner, we've been doing a series of interviews. We're going to continue doing those. And this is really good for the people on YouTube and the people online watching and the people on the podcast listening. We get to follow a cancer researcher, Dr. Bruckner, on his journey from starting a study and then seeing the first patient and then looking at the safety and looking at the progress of the patients. So we're in the very early stages of a new study, and while we probably shouldn't talk study specifics. We can talk concepts for other people interested in maybe joining cancer studies or just interested in clinical research or anything in between. So, Dr. Bruckner, thank you very much for coming on. You guys been busy this week?
Very. We've got people from 4 continents in the office.
And I know one of the patients for the study we're working on, they're coming all the way from South America, right?
Yeah, they're here right now.
How's it going? It's going good?
Very good.
Okay.
It looks great. I'm very hopeful for her. Uh, she looks ideal.
Good. And this will be patient number one for the study, is that right?
Yeah,
So how do you
first for this study.
Yeah, first one. So how do you juggle your private practice and research and then have your staff switch their mentality in real time, because it's very different to do research than it is to run a private practice. So everyone's got to be on the same page. How do you manage all of this?
I I probably do less juggling than you would think. Since I started off as a research guy, even when I went on the private side, or the dark side, as some would say,
Yeah.
um, I maintained the research standards. So all of the record keeping has always been research quality. So my staff doesn't have to change anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we follow, we document whether it's a study or not. Whatever is good for a study patient is at least as good for a regular standard patient. You have to know if what you're doing is working, and
Right.
the same criteria apply. The research and the standard patient deserve the same level of safety. So that doesn't change for
Mm-hmm.
me. I always prefer what we call the highest level.
Yeah. So if that's the
Uh,
thesis, if patient safety is the overarching macro thesis that we follow,
for me,
ideally
more than most.
more than yeah, so everything else should just fall into play. Everything else takes a backseat to patient safety. So I guess from that perspective, it makes it quite simple what you and your staff's duties are. Um,
It's just a little more paperwork, and I give people a heads up. A lot of the work for research patients and for regular patients is done before they come. You have to have the background. You have to check labs, eligibility. You have to know that you're keeping up with what everyone else thinks is the cutting edge of available treatment. You, your, your research, I believe, has to fit seamlessly into available and be a plus. You have to know where to put it. Here, when I do immunotherapy, I'm not just thinking of the trial.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have prepped the patient so they have the best chance for the immunotherapy to work without cheating or doing something that would make the trial difficult to interpret. And when I'm using immunotherapy, I'm already thinking what else to follow to catch leftover advantages or to give the drugs a second chance to work. If I give someone immunotherapy and it doesn't work, the next thing they get is going to be what the peer group thinks could wake up the drug and make it work where it failed. So I always try to give the patient a sequential chance to benefit. What I'm doing today, I have tomorrow in mind. And I'm trying to do what the best in the field are comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very. Thank you for the clarification. So basically, we have the first screening, and how do these studies usually work? Because usually a study allows for, in this case, there's 60 patients that it allows for, but there's a safety checkpoint after 3 patients. So can you tell us what the importance of that is and why that's in the design?
Well, the example that is most recent in the news is the French disaster where they put 5 or 6 people on a seemingly harmless drug. And 3, 4 weeks into the trial, everyone was paralyzed.
Yeah.
You have to have enough time between patients that you don't dig yourself a hole and put a lot of people in it. Now, most of the trials that I'm doing, that's pro forma. We really already have a lot of phase 1 data,
Mm-hmm.
and we know it's going to be safe. But just, we stick with the format. We stick with the protocol.
And when
You
patients,
don't rush in unnecessarily.
yeah, again, patient safety as the macro thesis. When because you're a popular,
What good would it be? You can't scout if you send the whole platoon in at once.
that's
It
right.
has to be, someone has to go first and very carefully.
Absolutely. Now, you're a popular doctor, so you have patients literally, you said, coming from today, 4 continents are in your office today, or at least this week. How do you tell a patient
I even
no?
have people from the Bronx.
Yeah. They came from as far away as the Bronx. But in all seriousness, how do you tell a patient no, we can't screen you yet, we need to wait, when they're oftentimes begging you to get in? I mean, this has got to be a challenge. This is something new for me. I've never been involved in oncology research, and this is something I'm learning. It's very different from the other types of research I've done, central nervous system, OBGYN. Oncology patients really want to get in. There's not much selling needed to get them in a
It,
study.
it's really not that difficult a problem. Uh, it's just 2 or 3 people on the front end, and the reality is by the time you've collected the data, 2 weeks have gone by.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, we get people into trials quicker. We use Skype, internet, we get their labs locally, we get the notes, and we're quite experienced in long distance screening.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can go very quickly putting everything together, and people come here and other studies and say, we've been in studies before and you just work quicker.
Good. Very good. Yeah, I can definitely attest to that being in your office 2 weeks ago to do the training for this study. I mean, you were proactive about, I mean, you knew what was already expected. So it makes it a lot easier to have a PI that really understands the research process and knows what they're doing and has all their priorities in order. And
And
that's
I
definitely
have people who will go to, if I need a test, I can pick up the phone and tell a colleague, help me out. And, you know, as long as I'm not asking to see their bank account, they don't refuse.
that's good. So now where take us through your thought process as we wrap up because I know you got to go. There's a patient there, the first screening, a new study. What is your thought process today, and what is on the agenda tomorrow, and then maybe a week out? What are
You'll
you?
be getting a treatment tomorrow. Basically, we got all the blood work before she came. We already knew that her blood work was good. We updated it, duplicated it the day she arrived, but we already know because of the labs we choose to use that we will have confirmed everything we need to know by tomorrow.
Fantastic.
Other guys, classic example for me is adjuvant therapy for breast or colon cancer. People come from the drug company and say they have big trouble because if the patient's count is off or there's some little problem, they end up losing a week on the schedule. I have a simple solution. I get the blood tests on Monday or the Friday before. So if I need to fix something, I delay 24 hours. I don't make people go home and come back a week later because I've started too soon and I'm lost in the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Just picking the day of the week can save people a week getting into treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that with all my patients. If I have any concern of complexity or I'm going to make changes, they're not stable, they go to the front of the line. And I'm going to know Friday for Monday or Monday for Tuesday, so I don't end up losing them a week
Mm-hmm.
because I can't get a film or I can't repeat a test.
Well, this will
God,
be.
you think I
Yeah, I was gonna say this is gonna be fascinating to follow. It's never been documented before. Following a PI on his or her journey through the research process. We're going to be doing these videos every 2 weeks, so we'll talk about general concepts. We can't get into study specifics, that's confidential, but we're going to talk general concepts. You know, what are some issues? How are we dealing with them? And this has never been done before, so I'm very excited to do this. Everyone is going to be tuning in to the Bruckner Oncology channel on the Clinical Scoop, and then there's an Excella Bio YouTube channel, and a Facebook page. So we've got links to all the doctors involved. This will be very exciting, Dr. Bruckner. Anything else you want to say as we wrap up?
Yeah, I'm thinking as we're talking, there's this line I like from Glidewell's book. He tried to analyze how do people become good at what they do. And, the good answers are usually simple. And what he said is the guys who innovate and do it better are the guys who did it 1,000 times before. And, I'm an old warhorse. I don't feel old, but I've got that amount of experience. And, I've done this for 50, 60 national trials. And I like to think when I see something I didn't like happen to someone, I'm going to avoid it going forward for other people. And I've seen a lot. So I have a lot of preemptive strategies, and we try a little harder because, keeping people precisely right, commensurate with what is good for their welfare. I like to be very close to what the visitors will call perfect following of the plan. If the experts wrote a good plan, they're relying on us to do it so that the lesson will help other people. I take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it takes, I put in.
Very good, Dr. Bruckner. Excellent way to end it, and we'll all be looking forward to following you on this journey. Never before documented, so very exciting. Thank you very much.
It's exciting. Great drugs.
There we go. Thank you very much, Dr. Bruckner from BrucknerOncology.com, and stay tuned for the video, everybody. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Thank